Good to have you on the show once again. This is Mobile Steven. You're also on live well lives by Mobile Steven. Remember, if you want to catch up with any of my missed episodes, simply go online and search for Live Well Lives by Mobile Steven, and I'm guaranteeing you're going to have an amazing and incredible time listening to the talk show. Now, today I have Stephen Brooks, who is an author, speaker, and TV commentator for the TD Ameritrade Network. Now, we call him the Pop-Up Expert. Welcome to the show with me, Stephen Brooks.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a delight to be here.
All right, it's a delight to have you on the show once again. I'm looking forward to your professional insight. Now, let's get to know you.
So I'm Stephen Brooks. I'm known as the pop-up retail expert. I've been in business for over 35 years and always within the retail environment. My career's taken me to 57 different countries. I've worked with lots of different mall owners, lots of different startups, existing retailers, failing retailers. We turned retailers around, and we've done all of that from a pop-up retail perspective. So short-term activity that has a high degree of customer experience. I believe that that's the key to success in any business. The actual, the customer service that you offer, not good, not great, but amazing. And I currently live in the United States, in Chicago. And I'm about, just sharing the knowledge that I have. I think that's very common amongst people in the retail industry. We love to share our experiences. We love to share knowledge. Many people, including one of my friends, a guy called Ron Thurston, who has a great book called Retail Pride that you should all go and buy and read. We talk about falling into retail as an accidental career, which is exactly what happened as far as I was concerned.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that beautiful introduction now. So I wanted to know what the pop-ups and do they actually work?
So there's nothing new about pop-ups, right? Pop-ups have been around since the beginning of time. We just used to call them markets and souks and bazaars. And so the pure foundation of retailing, even in its modern form, actually comes from pop-up retailing, okay? And to answer your question, do they work? They absolutely do work, yeah. And they don't just work for retail either. They work for service industries. They work as an information point. If you're starting a business, if you want to test a location before you invest, if you're over inventoried and you want to turn that inventory into cash, then yeah, pop-up absolutely does work.
Oh, definitely. Now, so we want us to talk about the future of pop-up, right? Pop-up retailing. Now, do you think they're more than just a trend?
Oh, no. As I said, pop-up's been around since the beginning of time, and I've been in the pop-up industry for over 35 years. So I think the thing that you can say about pop-up is that in the last 3-4 years, its profile has grown, and certainly as we're transitioning out of the current phase of a pandemic, and I say the current phase because now everybody's worried about the Delta variant, pop-ups become a way of certainly malls and landlords reinvigorating the customer experience inside their shopping malls. But there are a lot of online brands now that want to come out and meet the consumer. And even Amazon itself is opening stores. So you have the Amazon Go concept. Obviously, that they bought Whole Foods, a vast investment in brick and mortar retail. Amazon has its own bookshops again, and has its top 20 stores, top 20 product stores as they call them. So yeah, it's not a fad. I think the thing that you can say about it is that maybe going back 10 years, pop-up was seen as an adolescent child in retail. Nobody really took it seriously. But now it's the adult in the room. And, I'm working with a lot of landlords. I'm working with a lot of brands that are using this format to either reinvigorate malls or, grow their businesses. We've taken businesses from 1 to over 108 using a pop-up strategy in less than 18 months. It's not a fad. It's here to stay. Like I said, it started when retail started, so it will continue to flourish. Of that, I'm sure.
Oh, incredible. Excuse me, incredible insight. Now, sir, why do startups really matter? Do you have any insight to share on this?
Why do
startups, why do they really matter?
Why do they really matter? Because of what they can achieve, and you know, I think when you're searching for something, if the current employment landscape doesn't suit you, then you know, going into business for yourself, starting up a business is one of the most exciting things that you could probably do as an individual. And I speak from experience, you know. I think startups matter because they push the boundaries of their sector, be that technology, be that retailing, be that automotive or medical. So they really do. They really do matter in terms of pushing the boundaries. But I also think that you know, if you go back, I don't know, 50 years, 60, 70 years, you know, nobody talks about startups. You know, nobody. It wasn't a kind of a movement that people resonated with, and now, you know, people start up businesses online literally overnight. You know, I mean, you can be a startup in less than a couple of minutes by launching an affiliate program, and so on. So I think they matter for the growth of economies. I think they matter for the growth of employment. I think they matter socially because they give us great ideas. They push the boundaries, and at the end of the day, you know, we're a race that's constantly evolving. You know, the human race hasn't stood still, and so that's part of our own kind of DNA of developing the human race.
Oh, great, absolutely. Now, Steve, why are retailers, right? Why are they turned into startups for innovation? Do you have any insight?
So, retail has been innovating for a long time, and I think it's only in the last couple of years that we've seen some really big innovations in terms of the technology in retail. Retail, I guess, has been considered to be a bit of a dinosaur in that way. But with, you know, when COVID came along, retailers had to do curbside pickups and had to do click and collects and had to find ways to communicate with their consumers. So I think across the board, you know, fashion retailing is very much a big thing as far as startups and pop-up shops are concerned. But so are lifestyle brands. I think that the digital experience and the physical experience using the pop-up strategy can be merged really well and can produce some great results. I don't think personally there's anything that can't do well in a pop-up situation if you get the other things right. And by that I mean, you know, the location, the customer service, the technology, the pricing, the logistics, the team, you know, the marketing, the social media interaction. And so whether you were starting an accountancy practice or a pop-up shop, all of those things have to come into play, right? The fundamentals of any business apply, whether you're in retail or you're in manufacturing or whether you're in, you know, a service industry. But I think that the good thing about pop-up retailing is that people perceive it as being very short term, so that focuses the mind on the product. That's one key thing. But also from a startup perspective, it's a great way to test that product. It's a great way to see and get feedback, live feedback from your consumer as well. Just in the same way as as launching a service. You know, if you're a lawn care business or solar energy business or something like that, you know, talking to your potential consumer through a pop-up strategy is a great way, A, to see if they like the product, B, if they can afford it, and C, if you can do a deal with them and do business with them. So I think that everybody should be open to the idea of pop-up as a strategy.
Oh, great. Absolutely great. I love that perspective. Now, going by the retail tech trend, you think it will shape the way we future shop?
Retail tech is definitely, you know, changing the way that we do everything, right? You know, just the online buying experience, I guess, is what everybody talks about. And, you know, I constantly hear people saying, oh, retail is dead, we're all going to shop online. The reality is retail isn't dead. 78% of people still want to touch, feel, and engage with the product before they buy it. Retail tech can actually, you know, increase your sales in store. Excuse me just a second. Excuse me. And what it means is that you don't need to carry as much inventory. So you can have the core products that people buy every day, but then you can have, you know, an online presence. You can have an iPad or a laptop or a screen where people can order the other things that you want, and either have them drop shipped to the store or have them drop shipped to your house, so they come back again, or they pick it up at home. Excuse me. The advances, the other advances in retail tech are payment technology, of course. You know, if you think that, you know, credit cards and plastic has been around, you know, since the late 60s, QR codes are 27 years old. Chip and pin is 20 plus years old. So the advancements in payment technology is certainly a big step forward. As far as retail is concerned, but also the back end of that, so inventory management systems and the data that we get from consumers as well, so predicting trends, excuse me, predicting sales and knowing when to cut inventory, when to buy, when to order. So all of those things are really impacting what's happening in retail right now.
Oh, great. Thank you once again, Steven, for your incredible insight on the topic of discussion today. So, let's talk about pop-up once again, right? Do you think the pop-up retail trend can serve as the mainstream marketing strategy? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. There are businesses already operating that work purely from a pop-up strategy. You know, if you take in the US, you know, things like Calendar Club and Hickory Farms, the Ugly Sweater Company, the Amazing Chocolate Workshop, are just a few businesses that only use the pop-up strategy as a way of driving their businesses. Now, they are seasonal, of course, those businesses, and they make a lot of money during that, you know, that period of time. But there are lots of businesses in terms of technology and watch repairs, in terms of mobile phone accessories, that operate purely from pop-up locations, and so even clothing can do that. I think clothing can do that for sure. I think housewares can do that. You know, I work with a couple of candle manufacturers and homeware manufacturers that use a pop-up strategy only to drive their businesses. So yeah, as a long-term business approach, as a way of growing your business effectively and controlling it, a pop-up strategy absolutely can be long-term.
Oh, great. Now, I love that aspect. Now, let's talk about global retailing, right? What are some of the challenges faced by global retailers?
Well, right now it's supply chain. That's the big challenge that everybody's got, right? You know, through not manufacturing for a period of time, or for the fact that, you know, just because of COVID, you know, prices have gone up and raw materials have gone up. I think global retailing, whilst it has its place, I think, you know, there will always be brands. You know, I was just on television before I came on here talking about Ralph Lauren and Under Armour, you know, two global brands. There will always be brands that have a global reach, but I think the buying public actually now is looking for a more local approach to things. I've been coining the phrase, you know, local is the new global for some time this year, because I think that you can go into a mall in California, you can go into a mall in the United Kingdom, you can go into a mall in Australia, and you're more than likely going to see some very, very similar brands in there, okay? And more than likely the architecture is going to be very, very similar as well. So landlords, mall owners, I think are looking to what makes them different. And you know, Popup can do that, of course, adding entertainment, having some form of services and so on. I think you're going to find that actually shopping malls will become far more ecosystems rather than just a place where you go to shop. So that you know, already, you know, malls are redeveloping with the demise of big box retailers and large department stores are redeveloping them to become, you know, residential at one end of the mall. So it makes sense that you have, you know, some kind of health services there, you know, opticians and dentists and doctors. It makes sense that you have entertainment and you have food and you have retail. So it becomes a, you know, a self-sustaining ecosystem almost. But I think, you know, the challenges of global retail of course, are fluctuating exchange rates, fluctuating service levels. You know, the experience that you have in a H&M store in Croatia could be vastly different from the experience that you have in an H&M store in San Francisco. But you know, again, that comes down to something I'm passionate about in terms of customer service. So there are challenges. We're not going to see the demise of global retailing. That we just won't. You know, there's too much investment gone into that. There are too many big brands involved in that. But I do think that local business, local entrepreneurs that grow within a much more smaller geographical footprint. You know, maybe they stay within their state, or maybe they stay within 2 or 3 states, or they stay within a 100-mile radius of where they, you know, where they evolved. I think we might see a lot more of that.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Thank you for Steve. How can technology, how can it be used in retail?
Well, technology can be used in every aspect of retail, as I said. You know, payments, inventory ordering, customer experience. You know, interestingly enough, one area it's not used in retail that it should be is following up once the consumer actually purchases. You know, less than 2% of retailers communicate with somebody once they purchase in store, and so you know, I think closing the customer journey in that way, thanking them, or maybe incentivizing them to return is a possible gap within the market. You know, data's playing a big part, as I said earlier, in retail, in terms of you know, how long somebody picks a product up and looks at it, how long they engage with it, how many people walk past a particular product. And you know, I'm on the advisory board of a business that has some incredible technology that looks at those aspects of an in-store experience, and can actually say to, you know, can say to retailers, you know, these are the peak times when people are looking at your products, or this is the amount of time that they engage with it. So you know, that makes a big difference. But you know, HR training, all of those aspects of technology are coming into play in every aspect of business life, not only just retail.
Oh, right. Thank you, Stephen Brooks, for your incredible insight. Right. Once again, I really appreciate this. Now, and do you have any projects in the pipeline?
Yeah, we're working on pop-up shops all the time. I work with a number of different landlords. I'm working with an amazing business called Curate 360, which is basically around female startups and minority group startups, so that we can get them into a retail environment. We have ongoing projects. I sit on the board of a number of different businesses and as an advisor. I'm constantly doing podcasts. I'm on television quite a lot. I've written a number of books. Now things are getting back to normal. I'll be speaking again at conferences and so on. And we do webinars. You know, we have a webinar coming up on the 4th of August, so a few days from now, which is free for us to teach people what we call the 7 secrets to success of pop-up retailing. So I try and keep busy, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely, that's very important. Thank you once again for that. All right. How can the audience get in a social media loop?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram as the Retail Specialist. You can visit my website at thepopupexpert.com. You can find me on Twitter at thepopupexpert. You can email me at steve@thepopupexpert.com. And you can find me on Clubhouse as the Theretailpro. But the best way, you know, I love getting emails from people. So drop me an email, and you know, we can set up a call and see what we can do to help you.
Sure. Sure. Thank you once again, Stephen Brooks. Right. Really had an incredible and water time with you on the show today. So I hope some other time we can do this again.
I'd look forward to it. Thank you very much for having me as a guest today. I really enjoyed it.
All right. I wish you best of luck once again. Right. It's been lovely, Popup TV. Thank you for hanging with me on the show today. Let's do this some other time. And I need you to stay safe always. I talk to you soon. Bye for now.